Hello, my name is Elijah Wells, and today's review is Taika Waititi's and Marvel's new movie, Thor: Love and Thunder. The movie takes place sometime after the events of Avengers Endgame. Thor is trying to bring to himself some inner peace and try to live a way more of a quieter life after the events of Ragnarok and Endgame and Infinity Wars. So, when it comes to Ascension, now Gore, the God Butcher, is killing some gods. He teams up with Valkyrie and Korg, played by both Arisa Thompson and Taika Waititi, and surprise, surprise, meets up with Jane Foster, portrayed by Natalie Portman, to defeat Gore, the God Butcher. There are some interesting and some really muddy subplots in this movie. Like one of them, the big elephant in the room is that Jane Foster has stage 4 terminal cancer. Even though it has been explicitly said in the movie, and that she's trying to seek out a horse like Forrest Hammer to try to make herself well, but the hammer itself has some major repercussions onto her health. And also that one of these subplots that just end up going nowhere at the end is that Thor must hire some additional gods to defeat Gore, which end up not happening, and so Thor and the rest of his gang had to go solo to defeat him, which kind of reminds me in a little bit of a sense of Finn's story arc in what was that, The Last Jedi, where he ends up in some casino with Benicio del Toro, which to be honest got way too much build up and just end up with no payoff and no resolution to that story. I think that's what happened at that subplot where he meets up with Zeus, who's portrayed by Russell Crowe. Even though the Guardians of the Galaxy do have a prominent fixture in the movie, as in the opening 10 minutes, and in the movie's trailers, they're only in the movie for opening 5-10 minutes until they just disappear. I feel like this is just basically Marvel saying, hey, we're still going to keep you occupied while we try to get James Gunn back after we stabbed him in the back over some pretty controversial tweets and how he handled that pretty poorly. And of course he was doing Suicide Squad and he's back on track with Volume 3. I think this is just a case of they try to keep the cast occupied and keep them in the loop in some bad sense of word. I think that scene was only served its purpose, and that's opening 10 minutes really. Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, is definitely a really interesting Marvel villain. He wants to kill gods as a revenge after his daughter passed away from presuming dehydration. He does this in this creepy way with a sense of whimsy, like Pennywise from It or Alex Malargin from Clockwork Orange, as in he finds joy out of it, and he has almost a really kooky, really dark sense of humor that he has, and I think he definitely has a bit of a Roald Dahl-esque twist to him. It's kind of so sinister yet so light-hearted at the same time that I kind of dig his character a lot in this film. The movie had a bit of controversy when it came out because there was a couple Twitter threads that came out criticizing the special effects works in the movie. Then it came out that one of the companies that worked on this movie said they were working on really long hours, really tight schedules. Allegedly Marvel kept changing their minds over anything, and allegedly a lot of bad communication. And there was also this meme of one of the kids' head randomly floating in one of the in the meeting room. I thought okay, this might be from some Disney TV movie from the 2000s. Okay, then I realized it was in that movie that costed something it costed $250 million, and the kid's head is randomly floating there. I feel like this is a little bit jarring, a little bit weird, and it kind of gives me the impression this was done over a Zoom call or something. The character's head was filmed this, with a phone, oh, we're being trapped, we're being sent away. And also there was this subplot where Gore just kidnaps a bunch of kids from Asgard. And and it's never really made clear what he wants to do with these kids at all. Like, does he want to sacrifice them? Does he want to kill them? Does he want to raise an army of them? Does he want to, like, brainwash them or something? It's never at all made clear what the villain's motives are with these kids. They just kind of just stand around, sit around. Like, I think Gore just really just chaperones them for like most of the movie and does nothing with them really. Another thing besides the visual effects work that rubbed people the wrong way and the treatment of the staff, it was that of Tessa Thompson when it was built up in the interviews that the movie was going to explore her bisexuality. It gets like a couple mentions, then never mentioned again. Like, I think that even though she did explicitly say that the character is openly bisexual and that one of the characters from Thor Ragnarok tried to protect her but was ultimately killed in a flashback scene from Ragnarok, but it was only like mentioned twice. Like, I think it was just built up way too far, way too much to the point. I think they clearly just had no idea how to like woven it into the story at all. Like, I think they almost set her story arc up to fail, and also I think with where she and Krog's character like have like a legitimate purpose in the movie, like helping for reclaim his homeland. But here, I think they just kind of just tag along with Thor in his adventures, and that's kind of about it, really. I do like the inclusion of like a lot of Guns N' Roses songs in the movie, like "Welcome to the Jungle," and a lot of the songs do prominently feature in the movie, as well as one of the characters, child actors in the movie, calls himself Axl, named after the lead frontman of Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose. Yeah, I think this is like a cool nod to a movie. Like the Ragnarok used prominently like Led Zeppelin's what was that song? Great Immigration Song, and here Welcome. And also they use Sweet Child of Mine, which again, and Welcome to the Jungle, which two great songs. So Taika Waititi does use some great soundtracks as usual in his other films like Jojo Rabbit. Natalie Portman's character is definitely a welcome exception, and her pretty weird explanation of her like a theory about entering through space things like is definitely explained. She explicitly said it's like Event Horizon or Interstellar. Then it just straight up created a massive continuity error because Matt Damon not just has a role in Thor Love and Thunder as stage play Loki, but also has a role in Interstellar, like a really brief role that never got advertised as much, which pretty much almost, which definitely tears a hole in the movie's continuity. Like, wait, you have Matt Damon in your universe? Like, what's he doing there? Like, seriously. Do not get me wrong, I do like a lot of stuff the MCU did, and I like a couple of stuff that Phase 4 has to offer, but Thor Love and Thunder just feels really, really all over the place, to be honest, and got a bit anemic compared to, like, Marvel standards. Like, some storylines just kind of just end on their own, really, and the visual effects work were at best way more flimsier than usual. Some characters just kind of just stick around with no real purpose, and some great music and a great performance of Chris Hemsworth and a really enjoyable villain by Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. But all in all, this movie is just really, really unfocused at best. The movie is almost like the cinematic equivalent of tripping over your own shoelaces. Like, the movie is like going in 20 different directions all at once, then decides to go in none of them at the end. I feel like this movie just feels really, really consequence-free, and I feel like it feels like a really, really more of a minor step. I feel like this is more of an episode that you could find from like the MCU stuff on Disney Plus. Like, sure, it may be good for like an hour or less, but as a 2-hour movie, I think they just stretched it just far too thin, to be honest. Like, I feel like the movie's just too much or too little at the same time. I'm feeling Thor Love and Thunder is a 5 out of 10. So, what do you think of Thor, Love and Thunder? Let me know down in the comments, like this video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and this is Elijah Wells, and bye!